Hello, everybody. This is Sam Naquin again with the iCreditHelp podcast video series. And we have a great guest in the studio today, a friend of mine that I met recently, Artie Berne. What's up, Artie?
Artie Berne. No S on the name.
Well, there you go. There you go. So
I'm doing great. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for having me.
let me ask you a question. So, Artie, you and I first met, a couple months ago, right?
Yeah.
I was referred to you by Jason Stubbs, and he said, hey, if you are looking for business funding, alternative business funding, things that are more advantageous term-wise than maybe the local banks, he's like, I got this guy. It's like, call Artie.
Right. So I'm what is called a working capital asset-based lender. So I call myself an alternative business funder, because we're a little more flexible and creative than normal funding sources, because we'll finance a corporation by any of their business assets. So you might ask, well, what are your business assets you would loan? So we're single collateral asset-based lending. So that means I can loan against a corporation's inventory, their purchase orders, their equipment, their real estate, their invoices, different things like contracts or intellectual property, patents. As you can see, those are all different assets. And if they're free and clear, it doesn't have a lien on, like a bank doesn't have a lien on it, or a bank hasn't done a blanket wrap or a bank blanket lien, we can just pick out one of those assets and get a company a term loan, a line of credit, or a factoring. And we're a lot more flexible, I would say, because we do things, if you have an IRS problem or lien or issues, or you've had bankruptcy, we'll fund you. You've been in bankruptcy or post-bankruptcy, we'll fund you. We go down to a credit score. Owner can have a credit score as low as 550.
So as low as a 550 credit score, and you guys can get cash to them pretty quickly too, right? What's the turnaround time on that?
It all depends on what program I bring you. Anywhere from 1 day to 3 weeks, I would say.
All right, as fast as 24 to 48 hours and up to 3 weeks, depending on the circumstances.
Right, yeah.
One of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the podcast series here is because, I own a successful local consumer credit repair company, Texas Best Credit Repair. And in running that business, at times we want to expand. We want to expand beyond our resources. Right. And being a credit repair company, the banks look at a credit repair company as a certain type of business model, and they're not as lenient in terms of funding, lending, and those types of things. So if anybody's watching the podcast right now and you run a credit repair company, you're going to need to talk to a guy like Artie, right, at some time. I mean, it's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, if you're not bankable, I always say go to the bank first. It's lower cost money. Our rates start probably just higher than the bank, maybe 6%. Bank might be 5%. We might start at 6%, depends on what program I put you in. And we can go to, whatever, because we price for risk. So I can always get a company a term sheet because, the way we underwrite and our creativeness that we bring to the table with our funding.
Awesome. That's cool. One of the things that we're launching here is our iCreditHelp brand, and that's going to be our national.
I see your hat.
Yeah,
I like the hat. And your shirt.
Yeah, absolutely. and the podcast video series, right?
Yeah.
So we're launching this national name brand, and it's in the spirit of helping consumers. And in doing that, that's why I got you on the show today, because you're going to help fund that, which I'm excited to tell you that on the studio, because you're local here to Austin, Texas, where our company is based. And anybody in the Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, Houston area can really reach out to you and get some help, right?
Yeah, I actually can fund corporations all over the country.
Absolutely.
50 states we can fund, and we've even done overseas. If you're shipping products or service, mostly products, into the United States from Europe or even Mexico, we can fund that transaction.
That's awesome.
So, 90% of my business comes through Texas, greater Texas, but I've done deals all over the country.
That's
so
awesome.
It's been great.
So tell me a little bit about, and tell the viewers, how does business funding and a business loan differ from a personal loan? Isn't there some advantages to just being able to get funding from you on your tax identification number versus social as a personal guarantor?
With us, we only fund business. I get calls like, can you do personal loans? No, you have to be a corporation. Matter of fact, if you're a sole proprietor, I can't fund you. You have to be an LLC, a C Corp, or an S Corp. I could fund you. And it's that way. It's different laws, different rules, different underwriting. And I always see if you need a personal loan, go to your bank. Who you doing your checking with? Who you doing your savings with?
Yeah.
Go to them first.
Absolutely.
Because they can give, a lot of times they can give you a signature loan for $50,000 just on your FICO score and just on the signature. And that's the quickest, easiest, fastest way to get a personal loan.
Yeah.
And if you have issues, you can't get a personal loan, I'd say go to CU, get their credit fixed.
Yeah, the personal credit fixed.
Right, get your personal credit fixed.
Yep.
And if you have a corporation, a guy called me today. He said, do you do personal loans? I said, no, not really. Do you have a corporation? Do you have a business? Do you have a company? He goes, yeah, I do. I said, well, I can loan off of the company. That's the quickest, easiest, fastest way.
Cool.
For us to get you funded. He needed like $50,000 within a week. So.
Did you get it done? Are you working on it?
I'm working on it now.
All right, that's good.
Working
good
on
stuff.
that
So
now.
how did you get into the business funding industry, and how long have you been in that industry?
So that's an interesting story. So this is career 2.0. I have an engineering degree at Arizona State.
Awesome.
And I went into engineering sales for 20 years, semiconductor fiber optic sales. And one day I'm laid off, one of the downturns in the semiconductor industry. I'm laid off, and I run into my neighbor across the street, and he says, "Hey, what are you doing now, wise guy?" I say, "Nothing. I'm looking for a job." He goes, "Well, what do you think you're going to do?" And I make some flippant remark. I say, "I think I'm going to sell money." And I was going to be a mortgage broker. I was thinking I'd be a mortgage broker. And he goes to me, "Well, I know some guys that sell money, and they could use a guy like you." And I say, "Really? What makes you say that?" He goes, "Well, these guys have more money than business." What? What are you talking about? Bullshit. No one has more money in business. I never heard of that. So he tells me these two guys that had 3 companies, a drywall company, a carpeting company, a blinds company out of Houston. And each company was doing about $200 million each. And they just sold all 3. And I said to my buddy, "So they're worth what, $600 million?" He goes, "Well, maybe not $600 million, but maybe $400 million. I said, "Oh, that's a lot of money." And he goes, "They'd like to talk to you, I'm sure." Nah, what are they doing? And he goes, "Well, they're buying invoices from companies that are waiting to get paid, and they advance them on these invoices, so that helps their working capital." And I said to my friend, "What's that called?" He goes, "It's called factoring, invoice funding." Wow, okay, never heard of that. He goes, "Why don't you call him?" Nah, I want to call him. I appreciate it. No. I go home that night, go on the computer, sit down, put in factoring, invoice funding, press that button, 10,000 things come up. I stay up practically, Sam, all night long, reading, studying, writing questions and stuff, right?
Oh, wow.
I call him the next day, and I say, "Hey, I stayed up all night long. What's your friend's name? What's his phone number?"
Oh.
So I call this guy up. By then, he's about a 68-year-old guy, right? Don't have to work a day in his life, but he started this invoice funding factoring company. And I tell him who I am, what I do, and all that. And he says to me, "Why don't you come out to Houston? I want to buy you dinner, and I want to talk to you about selling my money." And that's how I got into this
that's awesome
business.
What year was that?
About 10 years ago now.
Wow,
yeah,
man.
about 10 years ago. Yeah.
And the name of your company, to be specific, and how'd you come up with it? Like, what's the name of the company? Let's say it.
Artex Funding.
I love it.
Well, my name's Artie Berne, so AB.
I had a feeling that.
Right?
Oh, nice.
So with a name like Artie Berne, throughout grade school and middle school and high school, if they ever did the seating in the class by alphabetical order, unfortunately, Artie Berne was the first guy in the first row.
Either way, A and B.
Exactly. Either way you run it.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was stuck in the front. And I'm kind of a wisecracker. I never wanted to be in the front. I wanted to be in the back.
Yeah.
Goofing around. No, that didn't happen. So then one night I'm probably having a couple beers or whiskeys or something, and I'm starting this company. Because I worked for this guy about 3-4 years, and he finally retired.
Okay.
And I said to him, "Hey, I'm going to start my own company. I'm going to hang my own shingle up, see what I could do. You were only doing invoice funding. I get calls for loans against inventory, and can you do loans against purchase orders, and can you do loans against my equipment?"
Yeah.
And I said, so I'm going to expand the product line. So
Yeah.
I figure, I have the business plan in my mind, right? So my name, I said, well, got to start with an A, because that way any directory, I'm the first one under alternative working capital asset-based lending or any type of advertising you want to look up in the old phone book, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I found you on the internet, though. They're just putting in business funding and boom.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And so Artie's in Texas. I don't know, meld the two together. You get
I love
Artex.
it, baby. I love it. I literally
Artie's
love
in
it.
Texas.
And I was waiting to ask you that question when you got in here. I was like, Artex, baby.
And someone said to me, well, you just named the company after yourself. Yeah, kind of, sort of, yeah.
Yeah, I think you deserve it,
And, that's how Artex funding, that's kind of
all right,
strange.
so obviously I'm hearing a little bit of a thick accent.
Yeah.
I'm from South Louisiana originally. I've been in Texas since 1997. So I'm a Texan,
Right.
by association or adoption. My
Right.
wife is from Texas. All her life, her family's
You don't
Texas.
have a Louisiana accent, though.
Yeah, I tried to clean it up. They told me
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to make it in business if I didn't clean it up.
Oh,
So I
that's
worked from
interesting.
97 to about 99, 98 to kind of clean it up, and I worked for some software companies.
Right.
So where are you from?
I grew up in Jersey.
had a
And
few-
I've been here since 95 and
All right.
lived many places, but I haven't really gotten rid of the accent.
Oh, yeah, I love it, though. I love it. I think it adds to the show here. We're going to get some high ratings on this show. So check this out. All right, I run a consumer credit repair company, so I want to make things clear. In my consumer credit repair company, one of the things I have to agree to for my merchant is to agree to only do consumer credit repair. So we only, at my credit repair company, do consumer credit repair. Now, in the past, and I have another business model called Business Credit Advisor. And it's businesscreditadvisor.com.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh.
And what we do and what we could do with that other business model is actually help people fix their business credit. In other words, help Dun & Bradstreet number, register that.
Great.
And so I have a partnership with this business credit advisor company with one of the leading business credit companies out there. If you haven't ever heard of it, it's actually called Credit Suite. And it's really a popular system.
I have heard of it, Chris.
Yeah, Ty Crandall is the guy that runs it, and it's kind of like an all-in-one system to offer business credit solutions. But
Wow.
a lot of people used to be coming to me for that product years ago, and I just got to the point where I was like overwhelmed with the consumer side, and I just kind of put it on the shelf. So we should talk about that if you're interested.
Yeah, I'd
in the
be
future.
interested in your application list of docs you need. That's why I always ask.
Yeah.
That way I could send it out in an email and they could fill it out and send it to you.
Yeah, for sure. Also, what do you see out there as far as trends going with businesses? Do you think there's a recession coming? I mean,
It's funny. So I'm like the canary in the coal mine. Because you think about it, you go to your bank and the bank's not funding you because they're tightening up because they see it because they have high price analysis and high price consultants. And so, they don't want to take the risk. So they say, hey, call this guy. He has different programs than we have. He has different underwriting. He's a little more flexible, a little more creative. Go to him. And I can tell I'm getting about a call a day from some bank or some attorney or business broker. So
things are tightening?
Yeah. So when
okay.
things tighten, my volume calls pipeline increases.
Canary in the coal mine.
Right. Yeah.
That's really what it is, brother.
Exactly. So I could see it. Yeah, I'm getting about a call or two or three a day now. Not that they're all fundable, but it's you can tell the volume's starting to pick up.
Really?
Everyone's
That's so interesting because at this time of the year,
Yeah.
usually it kind of in the credit repair industry, it can be strong for the entire year, with the exception of maybe the holiday season. And maybe the beginning of the year, but after that, it's just gangbusters. Like business is booming from January till December basically. And so, in your business, is it cyclical like that? Where you see
this year summer was slow. June and July were slow.
Okay.
And August is booming. Yeah, picked
Yeah.
right back up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess everyone was on vacation and out, and everyone leaves Texas. It's only 103 degrees here.
Yeah.
So
what would somebody that has heard of on-deck funding? How would you compare to on-deck?
So on-deck funding is what I call it an unsecured funding.
Mm-hmm.
You have no assets.
Mm-hmm.
All your assets have a lien on it, or the bank has a blanket lien on it, and you need funding fairly quickly. That tends to get expensive because they want the ones I've seen. They suck it out of your bank account, your business bank account, on a daily or weekly basis. So that gets pretty expensive, and you better have some money in the bank and be able to cover those withdrawals.
How does your program work? Similar or different than on-deck?
No, ours is we do, it depends what program I bring you in. Invoice funding, we charge you, we'll purchase an invoice. We'll advance you 80% of that invoice on a $100,000 invoice. We'll advance you $80,000 on it. We hold back 20% in a reserve escrow account, and that way we make sure we get paid. That's where our fees come from, that reserve escrow.
Yeah.
So we take 2%, 3% a month, and then when that invoice is paid to us, we give you back that escrow minus our fees.
Interesting.
So, things like that. And the beauty of that program, it's like a flexible line of credit. You can't qualify for a regular bank line of credit, but you can for us because you have invoices from a Fortune 3000 company.
Yeah.
We know where you're going to get paid.
Exactly.
And,
so what kind of smaller businesses do you service here in the area that you, or in general, what are the ones that are like the most popular ones out there?
So we do a lot of staffing and trucking and oil and gas and manufacturing and software and high tech and semiconductor. Only thing it's easy to say what we don't do. We really don't fund restaurants, and we don't do a lot of retail stores and stuff. But otherwise, mostly B2B. Yeah, I do some B2C consumer-based business, but the bread and butter is businesses doing business with other businesses.
Yeah.
And
that can get kind of nasty at times. You got any like horror stories of like?
Oh yeah,
you want to share maybe here?
There's always the guy that you loan him $50,000 and then he disappears. He never makes any payment. And what happened to him? You call him, his phones are disconnected, and he's gone. And you go to his facility, and he packed up and out of it. And he took the money, $50,000, and left. So,
yeah, that's a pretty bad story there.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that much, though, I'd imagine.
No, I've been doing this 10 years. I was telling someone recently, 3 times I would say we got. Stiffed.
Yeah, I hear you.
Stiffed.
I hear you. So, some of the things about me, I recently reactivated my loan officer license.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I recently did that.
For commercial or residential?
Just for residential lending.
Yeah.
I just felt like I had done that industry for so long. I did that for 12 years.
Yeah, that's great.
For home loans, and that's how I got into the credit repair space. Yeah. I went through a bad spot in my life. If people don't know by now, I went through a bankruptcy personally, Chapter 7. I went through a divorce. And at a young age, I felt like that was something that would have never happened to me. So, like, clients that are coming to me with my credit repair company or iCreditHelp, I mean, they're getting the sum total of all of my knowledge in the financial industry and what I went through. And that's how we care for people. I mean, that's how we take care of people. And what I learned in the process of going through that myself was that there was nobody there to coach me. There was nobody there to help me. So I said, well, we're going to come up with some coaching system. And what is it going to be? We just call it credit coaching. So unlike other credit repair companies where all they do is send out a bunch of letters, that's awesome. We do that great. We do that the best of the best, right? We actually have a whole nother side of our service that other companies don't do. And we call it credit coaching. Because credit coaching, if someone wants to know what that is it's basically like telling you all the perfect answers to the test. It's all the right maneuvers for your credit to get better and for you to get the loan, for you to get the home, for you to get the core, the job clearance, or what have you. What better term than credit coaching,
And so much is based on credit these days. I'm everything from insurance to funding.
I mean, you probably have examples of that where the guy had good credit, but he didn't know why he had good credit.
Oh, yeah.
Of
course.
There's a lot of people that have 700s or 680s, and, until the shit hits the fan, they didn't realize that they didn't know how to get back there or to recover. So a lot of people don't realize that, if they say that, well, I'm doing credit repair. I heard somebody say, he's like, I thought I knew about credit repair, but really, Sam, I knew how to build somebody's credit that had no blemishes on it. He's like, what you're doing, Sam, with your company is you're actually going after those unfair negative items, remedying them by either deletion at the bureau level or the collector or creditor level, or you're providing a pathway through coaching so that they can actually settle those debts for 60, 70% off the dollar without actually paying a settlement company. So, that's what we're doing. And, that's why I feel like we've been successful is at the end of the day with iCreditHelp or with Texas Best Credit Repair, if we can't fix the problem within 6 months or less, we're going to sit down with the customer and say, listen, we said it was going to be 6 months. The rest of the program is free until you're fixed. Some people come in and we say, hey, this is a 9-month project. This is a 12-month. In fact, the plan specifics kind of dictate what the time frames will typically be. At the end of the day, we tell people all the time, we don't want to give up on you, so don't give up on yourself. Because at the end of the day, there's so many people that come to us from the big box credit repair companies, and they don't get help because the big box credit repair companies' timeline and bottom line goal is 24 to 36 months enrollment time frame. They want them to pay 24 to 36 months, $100 a month.
That's a lot.
$2,400 to $3,600. I tell people all the time, with my credit coaching, you could do no deletions, and if you just followed the credit coaching, if you had the curriculum, you get yourself out of that in faster time than the big box companies will. Because all they do, they tell the consumer, hey, listen, we're going to send some letters out, and we're going to get these things deleted, and just hold on, and they'll call them every 30 to 45 days. The consumer thinks that that is the pathway to better credit. But what the consumer doesn't understand is that one single 30-day late payment on a credit card drops your credit score 50 points per bureau. One. Wow. So if these big box companies are saying, hey, we're going to get everything deleted, and they only get half, 60, 70, 80%, that means 20, 30, 40% of the negative items are still there. And if one 30-day late payment drops your score 50 points per bureau, how much is 10 going to do? You're not going to get where you need to go. That's why you have to know how to be coached into rebuilding your credit and know what to attack, what to settle, and what not to assume is going to just get deleted out of the blue. There's a ton of companies out there that'll say, hey, listen, we'll go ahead and get that all deleted. Don't pay this, don't pay that. It'll all be fine. The truth of the matter is they can sue you. They can sue you. I tell people all the time, if you have a credit card that's got Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express, and you owe some money on it, get ready. There's a statute of limitations in the state of Texas. I'm not an attorney. I don't act like an attorney. I don't give attorney advice. But they'll be sued, and they'll have to show up to court. And if they don't show up, they get a summary judgment, and it's on their report, and they got to pay it at some point, right?
Yeah.
Or file bankruptcy. So at the end of the day, the consumer credit repair spot, I have a lot of passion for helping people because I went through that before, and I wish that on no one. So we want to just help people all the time, and that's where the studio is in Pflugerville, Texas, and you and I are just getting to meet each other,
Yeah, it's great. So
what are some things that you have questions about me? We first met, and you're like, hey, who's this Sam guy, yada, yada, yada. Do you have any questions of mine?
Yeah, you. So I guess your program, you coach them where they do their own credit repair and can do their own solutions.
Wouldn't that be cool?
And do you also have
right?
it when
we don't have that technology yet. I'll leave a little teaser there. We don't have that technology yet.
Yeah, I wonder if you had that also.
A lot of credit repair companies don't want to give that to the clients.
Okay.
That's actually a part of the basis of iCreditHelp. That's one of the features that may be in there.
So you do it for them?
We do it. We use our staff, our experts. We understand what to send, how to send it, and the intervals and the frequencies to sending the letters are important so that we get the biggest effect or biggest bang for the client's buck. So our credit repair program is usually 6 months or less. Every 2 months there's significant change. There's deletions. There's scores going up, that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, we're doing the work, and our system allows the client to log in and then ask us questions, which we coach based on those questions. And we have a little bit of a basic curriculum to unwire some of the issues. Like, I'm sure one of the big things that you get all the time is that, hey, I'm on Credit Karma and my credit score is, and then what do you say with that? If they say, hey, my credit score on Credit Karma is this, everything's going to be fine. What do you tell them?
I tell them, good. If it's fine, then we can get the funding.
Yeah. Well, what if that Credit Karma score isn't right?
A lot of times we have to have we call the tri-merge report. Mm-hmm. And I ask, get me a tri-merge report because I need that. And make sure you download with the FICO scores because I need the full report.
FICO scores.
With FICO scores.
Yeah.
I need from 3 credit bureaus.
Yeah.
And that's I have to see all that to get you funding.
Yeah, so you need FICO scores.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Because even if you're a business, a corporation, you still have to personally guarantee that loan, even though you have corporate assets backing up that loan. Somewhere down the line, you still have to personally guarantee that loan in conjunction with your assets. So,
exactly.
So we need your FICO scores.
It's all about the FICO scores, right?
About FICO.
Yeah, you ever heard of a company called Vantage?
I have heard of Vantage, yes.
Yeah, what do you know about them?
Not much.
They're definitely not an advantage, that's for sure.
Okay.
So here's the deal, man. In 2006, approximately, you can go to myvantagescore.com or vantagescores.com and research this. But, the 3 bureaus came up with this crackpot idea that they were going to have their own scoring formula to kind of not have to depend totally on this other company called FICO to score the consumers.
Is that the competitor of FICO?
It's hard to even say that they're the competitor.
Because I know someone's starting to
I don't know. It's hard
compete.
to say they're the competitor. It's like the New York Yankees is FICO and like the local like baseball team is Vantage.
Okay.
And
So
it's
one's
like two different
professional,
animals.
one's the Little League team.
Well, I wouldn't even. Yeah, that's what it is. You know, I mean, FICO is kind of like the universe, and Vantage seeks to exist in that universe and be
So
considered.
if I tell people they need a credit report, can they come to you for that credit report?
We help them get a free credit report through a credit monitoring company. One of the first things we do is we unwire the issue with credit scores, and we say, hey, listen, the scores on this monitoring site are Vantage. You know, realize that very few, if any, lenders base their underwriting and approval decision on Vantage. It's going to need to be looked at in terms of a FICO score. Not only FICO, but it has to be FICO, a specific score that the bank or the lender or the entity like yours chooses from FICO. It's not just any FICO score. See, that's the thing. You see, Vantage is a one score, rules them all type score. And actually, FICO is a product-specific score for what you're trying to buy. So, for instance,
FICO is the industry standard,
Yeah.
so we only go with FICO. We don't look
Yeah.
at the Vantage.
We send all of our clients actually to myfico.com once they have two things happen. Number one, they have some deletions happen, and they've added some new credit accounts that we've asked them to add. So once they add new and deletions happen, which is 2, 4, or 6 months in the process, we say, hey, listen, we think this is a great time to go look at your FICO scores because FICO is really, proud and they need to be of their scores. So they don't let free trials of their FICO scores happen. The only place to get free FICO scores are from like Capital One, like your cards, like Synchrony Bank does them. A lot of them.
Chase does it.
Yeah, they do a FICO
Yeah.
9 or a FICO 8 score, but those scores in and of themselves, people don't lend on those. It's usually a FICO 8 auto or FICO 8 bank card.
A lot of times it's only one bureau anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So I tell them to go to MyFICO. You get 28 FICO scores. It's $30 a month for their monitoring product, and they give you a report every 3 months. So what we do for our clients is say, hey, go get a report there. Go ahead and cancel it. They let you access the account, and then if you ever need another report while they're in our program, we say, hey, go ahead and pull another report, and they pay for that a la carte through FICO.
I can introduce you to some people when I need a credit report, have them call you, and then you
Absolutely.
walk them through it
Yeah.
and get them what they need. And then if they have issues, you can pick it up from there.
Absolutely. We use a couple of different companies. We use MyFreeScore, Identity IQ, and Smart Credit. These are 3 companies out there that we feel a trustworthy relationship with, and they're good companies for monitoring. Plus, they give a report with the details of the account. So what we're looking at when we look at a report, even with the Vantage scores thrown out, we're like, hey, we're looking at the data. What accounts are in collection, what's a late payment, what can we target, what's being said about this account so that we can go through it and come up with a checklist of what to target. So we're using the raw data in the report without the scores. So
any business owner out there that has a low credit score, low FICO score, and been to a bunch of banks and they can't get funding, you would come to us because we go down to, as I say, down to 550 we've scored and we've funded. And if you have any assets, either secured or unsecured assets, we can get you a line of credit or a term loan or a factoring line for your business.
I mean, we have tons of people that come to us. A lot of people already don't realize that people with bad credit aren't bad people.
Right.
They just had a bad situation happen. And it could be
a lot of divorces.
Death, divorce, disease, dismemberment, things of that nature tend to put people in a bad spot. I mean, this is life that we live, right? And, what I tell people all the time is that, we are here to help the people. And we're very, very proud of that. We're proud of doing that, and we're
helping people.
We're happy to have you as our local business funding guy, and I look forward to do some personal business with you in the future, and hopefully you'll come back on the show. What do you think about the show?
Great, it's beautiful studio.
Isn't it nice?
It's great, yeah, nice setup.
Yeah,
it's fancy.
ATX Podcast Studio. That's what we're in right now. It's pretty sweet here.
Love it.
Right here in Pflugerville, Texas. So. I guess the last thing I want to tell you, though, is I am a New Orleans Saints fan. And,
Drew Brees, he came from the local Queens High School. I'm in Lakeway.
Yeah, absolutely. And he went to Purdue,
I saw his games. They used to broadcast a lot of his college games when he played at Purdue. You never saw Purdue games.
Nah.
But when he played, it was all of a sudden on the local station all the time.
I remember I saw it was a Sports Illustrated magazine at LSUE in Eunice, Louisiana. I saw his face on it, and I didn't realize it then, but that was the guy who was going to help my team get a Super Bowl. Who's your team? kind of
New
know.
York Giants.
All right, it's only a question of is it the Jets or the Giants?
Yeah.
Why not the Jets?
I do root for the Jets. People give me hell, but I'm more of a Giant fan. Every season, opening day. Well, the reason Giants, because I'm in Cowboys territory, right?
Oh,
So every year, opening day of opening season, I put on a Giants jersey and a hat. And I like to say, you either love me or hate me. I've walked down the street, people would honk at me, make sure I look at them, they'd flip me off. Then I remember, last year I'm at the car wash and some guy just moved here from New York.
Yeah.
And I'm in my Giants jersey and hat. He runs over, practically wants to hug me.
Oh, yeah.
And kiss me because I'm the first Giant fans he's seen in town. He's been here about 8 months. And then he motions over his wife and kids and introduces them to me, and he just loves me.
Yeah. Well, I love you on the show. I mean, I think you honestly, personality-wise, man, we need your fire here in the show, and I'm really happy that you came. And I'll be rooting for my team, and hopefully the Giants will be able to put it together.
So one last thing, any business owner out there, if you've been to the bank first and you need funding, you need a line of credit, you need advance funding, or you're in financial problems, or you have financial issues, you can't seem to get financing for your company, come to me, Artie Berne, Artex Funding. My website is www.artexfunding.com. You'll see all my different alternative finance deals and programs and different underwriting that we do, and been doing this about 10 years, and we've done deals with every bank in town. I mean, anywhere from the major banks to
chopping it up,
and they've all call us and trust us and know us. We're local. Remember, local. You probably get a lot of calls on the phone from all these different firms in New York and California want to do business funding and lending for you. Remember, they've checked me out. They've done business with me. I've success with Bank of America and Chase and Citibank and all the ones.
Artie Berne in the flesh. Artex.
Thank you.
Hey, with that being said, thanks for joining us here at the iCreditHelp podcast video series. Isn't it time that you got credit? Over and out. See you guys later.
Thank you.